TV ready.
Spawn more overlords.
You have not enough minerals.
You are listening to the Grassroots StarCraft 2 podcast, episode 13, originally released on April 13th, 2023. This episode will be an interview with Grandmaster League Terran and streamer MonstR. All right. Hello, Internet. Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
All right,
The
everything
long-awaited podcast.
the long-awaited podcast. There's a queue now. I've never had a queue for the podcast. So, good to see you, MonstR, and thank you for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
My hands are a little bit slow tonight, doing a little bit of the technical stuff for the intro, but we're here, and I appreciate it. It's actually a pretty big time difference for you. I know it's early in the morning for you, so I really appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Yeah, and as we talked about in the pre-show, it's not that big of a deal for me, actually, because on my work, I wake up early in the morning. So it's basically me waking up in time for work. So it's okay.
Awesome. And we just are starting the podcast right now, and we have a raid from our Master J, Party of 5. Welcome, Raiders. Good to see you all. Somebody says turtles. Awesome. Yeah, actually, speaking of the podcast queue, I think our Master J is also in the queue. I think he's next in line, so it'll be good to talk to him in a future episode. But for now, the focus here is you, MonstR, and let's just kind of dive right into the format of the podcast for the folks that are listening for the first time. So this is the Grassroots StarCraft 2 podcast, episode 13. These are the different topics we're going to be talking about this evening. We're going to dive into you as a player, a streamer. We've got to discuss the MonstR Invitational and some casting you've done. We're going to talk about the you as a fan. We'll have some text-based Q&A with the chat. And something that I've learned from previous episodes is any question that ends up being in the chat, I'll just kind of live add it to the doc so that I don't lose it in the chat history. So if you're in the chat right now, and I'll kind of remind everybody throughout the episode, just feel free to drop a question for MonstR. He is a Grandmaster League Terran player. So any question you have for him related to StarCraft 2, and we'll address that at the end of the show. And then the last section is just kind of like an outro. So that's kind of your moment to plug your socials, plug your stream. And yeah. All right, we've already got people keeping me on my toes. We've already got a question here. So let me put that into the doc. I keep on losing your video.
I think it's when you're. I don't know if it's like when you are all tabbing or when I'm all tabbing. I can't tell.
Yeah. So let me try to see something on my. Can you try alt tabbing on your end? Let me see if it changes it or fixes it.
Okay, I'm all tabbed.
Okay. Let me put. Okay, it came back. Did you do anything?
No.
Okay, this is strange. Seems stable now. Oh, it's gone again. I might have to keep that as the foreground of my one screen here. I'll just do that. Okay. All right. Cool. We have some troll questions. I literally will take every question. But I'll keep that one question for now. It seems like there's only one question so far. Okay. Anyway, let's dive into the player section. MonstR, let's talk about the ID. There's some unique capitalization that I wanted to respect. You know, a lot of people have unique things about their ID, whether it's capitalization. I don't think you can really do numbers or symbols like in StarCraft 2. Some other games might have that, but let's talk about MonstR. Like, where did that originate from? And I think I'm saying it correct. Is that right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So I went through when I started playing StarCraft. I'm pretty sure I started with the name just Aki because that's my nickname in real life. Everybody calls me Aki. And then I went through a phase where I went through a million different names. I'm pretty sure I called myself Agumon, like the Digimon, and then I called myself like Pikachu, and then I went to Snorlax. I'm pretty sure went through some iteration of Aki where I had Aki Leto, with like Leto is like, I don't know, CSGO players or CS players used to have that in their name, and because it was like a variation of elite, and so like you just add it to the end of your name to make it sound cool. So I went through that, and then I think like in late 2013, after I'm pretty sure it was when we had something called like the Farmers League. I don't remember exactly what that was. And we had this Twitch channel called Aki Me and a friend called Riley. And that just like, when that ended, I still had a Twitch account, but I didn't want to be known as Aki and Me when and Me wasn't there anymore, kind of like a kid show. So I just changed the name to MonstR because I think it looked cool. And there was already a guy, like a server player called MonstR with like the E. So I just kind of removed the E and then capitalized the R because I think it looked better than just it being MonstR with a uncapitalized R. And it makes it look unique as well.
Okay, so prior to MonstR, it was Aki. You know, you said you went through different iterations of Pokemon. I actually, spoiler or not really, I guess it's a fairly recent update, I think, in Pokemon. And I haven't really watched it since a kid, but I saw in a recent TikTok video that I think Ash is no longer part of Pokemon, or he's like kind of sunsetting in the series. But yeah, I grew up with Pokemon, kind of the original 150, so that's pretty cool. Like Pikachu, you said Snorlax. You transitioned to a Twitch channel of Aki and Me, but then long term that didn't pan out, so switching that to MonstR. And yeah, you've been tuning into my streams, and I've seen you in chat. And I don't know, for some reason, I think there's maybe some other account that's, maybe this is what you're referring to, like that is similar spelling. And I don't know, I think when I first saw you in my chat, I straight up thought you were like even Twitch staff with the check mark, like the verified. Oh. So I don't know, I thought either it was like partner or you were Twitch staff. So, but yeah, cool story. A cool history about your ID there. And so MonstR is the ID that you use in game.
Yes. Okay.
And I'm assuming MonstR is your main account. Do you have like alt accounts do you like to play on Barcode, or you just like to play on MonstR?
I have barcodes that I ladder on occasionally. I have another account called Mech Week, which is just the account I play on when I stream, and it's a mech only account. It's like actually a lot of fun. I've had pretty good success. It's like 5,300, 5,400 MMR. Only playing mech every matchup. So yeah, I mean, it's if you play against a guy called Mech Week on ladder, that's me too. So
how do you spell Mech Week?
Mech Week. So it's
Mech Week. Got it. MECHWEEK. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Mech Week.
Yeah. So it's basically just this fun concept that me and some Discord friends came up with. It's that 1 week we just play mech. All we do is play mech. And I don't know if you know who Igor is, but he hates that name. He absolutely hates it. He just comes in and he's like, God, is it Mech Week again? I fucking hate Mech Week.
I think I've seen Igor in some of my streams hanging out. So if that's the same. Is it like based Igor? I think like that.
Based Igor. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, for you to get only mech, especially for like TVP, to like 5,400, that's really impressive. So
lots of hard work and dedication. Okay, it took a long time to figure out TVP, but now I have it down to where like I sometimes survive into the mid game. Okay, like that's like the hard part. It's surviving like the 7:30, 8-minute charge load attack. It's all about like having the build done well up to then. And after that, like playing mech mid the game and like late game is actually pretty good against Protoss. It's not that bad because, you know, tanks deal with everything on the ground, and then Thors and Vikings deal with everything in the air. So,
as a frequent ladder enjoyer, when I'm not, even I guess if I am playing Terran and I'm playing Bio, as soon as you scout that they're going mech, I don't know, everybody that's listening out there, it's almost like a massive exhale. You have to just like, like you have to brace yourself for a game against mech. You have to be patient, let's say, almost equally as patient as the person executing mech. So,
oh yeah, absolutely. It is a very boring style to play against, and it's also like kind of boring to play. But the fights are really long, so they're kind of exciting in that sense. Not that like there's not a lot of micro involved, but I feel like the fights can be kind of exciting in mech versus anything really.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Okay, going into more of you as a player and the history. What did you start playing StarCraft 2? Was it the beginning or kind of towards the middle of the history of StarCraft 2?
So I grew up with a friend who had like his father played StarCraft with them. So I had like they were two brothers, and they had like a PC setup in their home where their father and them had like their PCs next to each other. So they would like play LAN games. So I would come up there and we'd play Warcraft 3, StarCraft, all those, RTS games together. We played some Age of Empires. I didn't enjoy that too much, but we played, like everyone else, we played like a lot of Warcraft 3 custom games, StarCraft 2 custom games. And I think like when I saw that StarCraft 2 was releasing, the only thing in my head was like, I'm going to become better than their father at StarCraft, because their father always beat me in StarCraft 1. So I was like, in StarCraft 2, that's not going to happen. I have to get better than him. So on the day of release, I remember I got it like in the mail like a day before, and I installed it and I couldn't play it. But like basically the second I could play it, I started laddering. I'm pretty sure I stayed home from school to ladder that day. And like my first experience of playing ladder, I'm pretty sure like I just got 6 pool or something. They were like, "Oh, welcome to StarCraft," and it cheesed me, and I was like, "Oh, god damn it!" And I chose to play Protoss because that's what I played in Brew War. Yeah.
Wow, there's so much to discuss in what you just said. So you start like prior to StarCraft 2, it was Brood War, it was Warcraft 3, like custom games with a friend, and then you had a friend that had a dad who was better than you. So the motivation to be the level that you're at now stemmed from that, like that fire inside, that drive to be like, I want to beat my friend's dad. Like he is not gonna, I'm sure at some point it was like super competitive once you kind of established like the ground level stuff and the early days of StarCraft 2. And even you talking about getting it physically in the mail, I think this is a big shifting point for the gaming industry, where StarCraft 2 released 2010, and it kind of reminds me of, I'll always remember getting Heart of the Swarm in the mail. It was, I think it was a UPS driver that dropped it off. I took the day off of work. As soon as I saw the truck come out of my apartment, I ran out in my pajamas and I like went up to the guy. I didn't even wait for him to take the package like to my door. And I said, I have something. Here's my apartment number. And I literally took it from him and I ran inside and started playing. And I think we're going to see this shift, right? Like, I don't know if Frost Giant or some of these other, Immortals, Gates of Pyre, if they're going to have a physical copy. Maybe they will. That's a collector's edition, but it's going to be, I think, more so shift towards digital purchase, right? Especially they might tie the exclusives to a digital purchase versus a physical purchase. But it'll be interesting to see who out there is going to be buying a physical copy. Back in StarCraft, I don't think digital copy was as prevalent.
I'm pretty sure like StarCraft 2, StarCraft 2 released, there was definitely people who bought it online that like the digital copy, but I didn't know that was like even a thing you could do, because I don't know, I was like 12 or 13 at the time. My experience with the internet was like playing RuneScape on browser, so I didn't really do a lot. Like, believe it or not, I grew up playing like a lot of sports. I have a dad that's like really into sports, and then like when I found StarCraft, I was like, yeah, I'm abandoning all that. This is like what I want to do. This is my thing. And I agree with you. Like, there has been like this massive shift where I think like it's not really worth it for companies to make physical copies anymore. Like, it's just like a huge investment of time to like come up with like a concept for like the art of the box and all that, when you can just release the game on the internet and people can it's accessible from everywhere who has internet. You don't have to like have like a lot of discs. Like, even if you buy disc today, you have to download the game. Like, it's like the game is not on the disc, which is like kind of weird. It's basically like buying the license on a disc, right?
Exactly. And I think that's what chat just mentioned now. United States Marine Corps veteran gamer said a lot of stuff has to be digital too because of the size of some of these games. I think that's exactly what you're just saying there. Assuming it's a DVD format, I I don't know what DVDs go up to now. Is it still like 4.7 gigabytes or maybe even higher now? Or maybe, I mean, who has like a physical DVD drive, you know, in your computer anymore? Would they do like a USB stick? And like you said, cost, you know, that's going to be more cost to mass produce, you know, a product that has USB or even he's saying in chat M.2. That would be wild to have like some type of M.2.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but there are people that, and I think also what was mentioned by a veteran gamer saying that, and Elephant Man in chat, that the games now are, the norm is to be free to play. And back when StarCraft 2 started out, it wasn't free to play. We were buying the game for one account. If you wanted a second account, you would have to buy the game again, and that's no longer the case. So a big shift in kind of how you started out, MonstR, with StarCraft 2 in the early days versus now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
it's a different world.
And you also talked about, you said your dad is an athlete, and that sounds like even if you are, whether you are or not an athlete, you get the competitive aspect from your dad, right? Like your dad competed in some type of sport, and that's how that competitiveness translated to StarCraft and maybe even beyond in your personal life. So that's really cool to hear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I am my father is like a pretty high up in the military, so he's like a very strict person, I think, and he has never been like you should be the best, but they should always compete to win. It's basically his mentality. Especially like if you go watch like a football game or like a hockey game with him now, like he's exerts that kind of energy where like he's like, yeah, we're here to watch them win. You know, it's not like to watch them play. Yeah.
Can you imagine your dad on StarCraft 2 ladder? Like I'm not here to have fun with builds. I'm here to execute the build order to perfection and win games, you know?
Yeah, he has like the strategical mind for it as well. I'm pretty sure like I've tried to teach him StarCraft, but he's not interested. I think it's because he doesn't understand it and he doesn't want to, like he's like me, he has really bad ADHD. So if he's not like really into something, he's not gonna put any time and effort into it. So
dude, your dad would be like the innovation or the Serral mindset of like StarCraft 2, just like machine, like super disciplined, just I'm in it to win it and just destroy anybody.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so what race did you start playing? Was it Terran? You had mentioned that you played Protoss and Brood War. Did you start out in Terran or kind of dabble in the races and then end up landing on Terran?
So I went through, when I started playing StarCraft, our computer was like really, really bad. So I played Protoss, and I remember, you know, I was like 4-gating every game, 3-gating every game. If you guys remember that build, it was like on Tal'Darim Altar, it was almost unstoppable. And I remember my computer being so bad that if someone were to rush me, I literally couldn't use sentries to force field my ramp to defend because the computer was so bad. And I remember some issue I had is that like sometimes I had to restart the game. Like if I alt-tab, I'm pretty sure I had to restart the game. And I remember I played a tournament where I just disappeared out of nowhere, like in between games. And they're like, where did you go? And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, my computer's restarted. I had to restart my computer so I can get into the game because I was like watching the stream of the tournament. And it's actually like I started playing. I played Protoss up until I got a new computer, and then I grinded Protoss in the platinum, and then I kind of hit a plateau where I didn't really improve more with Protoss. I remember just playing Colossus Void Ray versus Zerg, that being really strong, and against Terran, I just played Shards of Arc on Colossus, and then PvP was just a Colossus fest like it was in Wings of Liberty. But I kind of realized that, hey, I don't really enjoy this playstyle. I kind of want to play Terran more, because like I saw how cool like Marines and Marauders and Medevacs were like really were like kind of squishy units, but if you use them correctly, they seemed really strong. Dealing with drops was also really hard. I don't understand how, because the Medevacs were so slow in Wings of Liberty, but it was hard dealing with drops when you're like 12 years old and you can't move your mouse very fast. So I switched to Terran after playing the game for like maybe 6 months to like 9 months. And I played a lot of StarCraft during that time. Like I played StarCraft every single day in, day out for like a year. And then I was like, you know what? Protoss is not for me. I'm going to Terran. And I remember like after I'm pretty sure like it took like a month for me to go from platinum to diamond with Terran. And at the time when I was on the team LBNT, that I was like the star player because nobody else on that team was diamond. Being diamond back then was like really, really impressive. It still is like kind of impressive today, but it's not like the same thing, I guess.
Okay, so the first 6 to 9 months you're playing Protoss. Chad is already doing a great job with a combination of stories and emotes, making me laugh as you're talking, and I'm trying to digest Chad and listen to you. But you started out presumably Bronze League, got your way up to Platinum with and this is a common theme with a lot of guests on the show, is their computer, the performance of the computer. Understandably, we're talking about 13 years ago now. The computer was struggling to play the game. And Wings of Liberty was, Sentry was essential, especially for PvZ. So if you're saying you can't even force field or doing a force field or an alt tab and you have to restart your computer, that sounds like a struggle fest. Mm-hmm. And it's certainly skillful if you're playing with that kind of computer performance handicap. And I think going back to like where we're at now with technology, we shouldn't really have that handicap or that challenge with something like Stormgate and modern day computers. I think even if we're talking about Unreal Engine 5 or whatever futuristic type of gaming technologies we're going to see out of these new RTSs, we shouldn't have an experience at all where you alt tab and you have to restart your computer. So that'll be one less hurdle for people playing the game, especially new players, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
The technological advancements like during the last decade has been like very impressive, very, very impressive. There was like for a while where like every year they came out a new graphics card, it like doubled or tripled the performance. I don't know if it's come to like a halt now, but I remember buying like a 660 Ti. I remember that's like the super GPU that I bought back in the day. It was like a $600 GPU. And it's just like shattered like the 500 series performance. Like even the 680 was like a killer graphics card. I remember they came out around the same time as the Titan, which was like, if you had a Titan, it was like a $2,000 graphics card, and it just like killed every game. But I remember like StarCraft 2 had like this very unique problem where it's a one core, like it's run on one core. So every single game, like every single high setup computer just got bottlenecked. So even if you had like a kill computer, you would still lag like crazy when you played 4v4 because there was just too much stuff on the screen.
Yeah, definitely StarCraft 2 being a very CPU centric type of game. We had a comment from Pili about your story starting out with StarCraft 2 saying Grandmaster League Terran equals Plat Protoss confirmed. This is one of the things that had me laughing there. So appreciate the feedback, Pili. And yeah, going back to your story, you ended up landing in Diamond, switching to Terran, and I think at the time was Diamond still the highest league. There wasn't even Master League yet, right?
I'm pretty sure Masters League was out because I'm not sure actually. It might have been the highest league. I wouldn't hold myself accountable to that though. Like Masters would have been out because I always remember thinking Diamond was super impressive, but not like highest rank impressive, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm pretty sure Masters was out already, but Grandmasters definitely wasn't out. That's for sure.
Right. Okay. And just keeping along this topic here, when did you reach Grandmaster League? The first 9 months you're Plat. You shortly after that get to Diamond, and there's not even GM, so you're slowly approaching really the top of ladder anyway.
Oh, so I'm pretty sure I was hard stuck. I was hard stuck Diamond up until the end of like I remember I went through all of high school, and then in the last year of high school I managed to reach Masters, and I remember telling all my friends. I like brought my laptop to because at the point I didn't know the computer. My family's economic situation just changed completely. We like could afford to get new computer and stuff like that. So but it just changed completely, and I remember like I brought my laptop to school, and I used to show all my friends my rank in StarCraft, and everyone was so impressed by my feat. And I reached Grandmaster. I'm pretty sure I have a clip of it. I reached Grandmaster 6 years ago. So in early 2017, I think, was the first time I reached Grandmaster. So I was in Master League for like a very, very, very long time. Very long time.
Yeah, what a unique story. Being in Grandmaster League and bringing your laptop to 12th. You're in 12th grade, your final year of high school, flexing on your friends like, I got Master League. Check it out. This is a big accomplishment. I don't know why when you initially said laptop, I envision you taking a big ass like old school desktop to your high school, and, like, setting up a desktop like in the cafeteria, like the big ass like CRT monitor and like mouse and keyboard, plugging it in. I think that would be a really funny like meme.
That would be a good skit. We should get someone to work on that.
That would be a good skit, yeah. And it makes me think now, like what is it, Gen Z, or even after Gen Z, like Gen Alpha, are we going to, or we hear some stories on Reddit or something or Twitter about, high schoolers or middle schoolers playing Stormgate and like hitting what is their equivalent of GM, flexing it in their school, and it'd be interesting to see if people, if their peers recognize it, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so you were hard stuck in Masters, and I think back then it was just Master League. There was no division of like Masters 3, 2, or 1. We weren't seeing visible MMR back then. It was like 2016 to 2015-ish, maybe. And because you said you had GM in 2017.
Yeah.
And so was it...
Yeah, go on, sorry.
Was it end of Wings of Liberty or kind of beginning of Heart of the Swarm that you hit GM?
So it was in Legacy of the Void I hit GM. During all of, I'm pretty sure like in Wings of Liberty, Heart of the Swarm, I remember like I was a 1300 point Terran. I don't even know if that was good or not, but I remember that was like whenever I applied for a new team, that was what I would type. I'm a 1300 point Terran, because back then there was like a point system it actually measured no skill. There were people like at 0 points that were better than me, but it just like that was like the only way we can measure how good you were doing on ladder. And like bonus like the points were always inflated because of bonus pool, right? Like because like you could just like not play for a week and then come back, and then you will play 7 games. If you lost half of the games, you would improve in points. So it actually didn't really matter, since it was like not an accurate like showing those skills in that way. I remember I was like rank 1 Masters, but couldn't get GM because it was just inflated points. Like it didn't actually matter in a sense.
I remember back then, before MMR was transparent, before nobody knew their MMR. We could guess it kind of through maybe third-party sites or, but there was, I remember having so much emphasis on checking my profile, checking which rank I was within my division, and like you said, how many points I had. And nowadays it's like vastly different. Nobody really thinks about that too much. I think there's a lot of UI bugs even we've seen in the past month, for example, where even, I don't know if it applied to all servers, but like the Grandmaster ranking was completely upside down. I saw this on the North American ladder of, I think it was every other account, it was like high and low. So at rank 1, you might see like on NA like 6 point something K, and then rank 2 was like high 4s. They had fixed this issue, but we've seen a lot of interesting things with ladder over the years.
Yeah, and I do think MMR is like the best iteration so far. It is the most accurate one. I remember that ladder bug because what you're talking about, because I remember I used to open up the Grandmaster leaderboards one day to check like, where am I on the NA server, and I just noticed that like, hey, like there's some guy with like 4.4k MMR in the rank 1 ladder. What the fuck is happening? GM isn't even supposed to be open right now, and he's in Grandmasters. What's happening?
Yeah. Chad is even talking about the whole portrait bug. I think if you can get Master League border portrait, but your MMR is not actually Master League. I had that actually last season for the first time ever with team games. But yeah, it's been a whole slew of some issues. And I think I actually saw on Twitter today that Dave Testa is running, right? I don't know if maybe he's still running it now, but it's kind of a reverse Smurf experiment. So we see a lot of these YouTubers that, they admittedly Smurf for content, right? They're much higher level than the fresh account they're playing on. But I think what I heard or saw on Twitter is that Dave got a 4.8K account. He's actually like a 3.9-ish K player, let's say like high diamond one. And he played on the account, and from some of the tweets I was seeing, he would get smashed in some games, but some games he was actually winning. So it's a really interesting take on is how legit is MMR if a, let's say, 1,000 MMR difference player can play on a much higher account and take some games off of somebody significantly better than them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is quite interesting. Yeah, I don't know a lot about the whole smoke. I know like people talk about the Smurfing situation. I'm not too invested. I know like everyone and their mother has done like a bronze to Grandmaster series right now, just bullying the lower ranks. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know.
Yeah, the bronze to GM series, they probably just get a lot of views, especially if it's something unique.
Yeah.
Like I watch a lot of Eutherm, a lot of Hearthstone, Proxy Planetary, Proxy Nexus. I think I've seen Widowmine, BC. There's a whole slew of like unique things out there.
Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure people like the illusion of like, oh, like this guy can go from bronze to Grandmaster with any build. That means that I can do it as well. Like I just need to put down like hard work and dedication. And it's like, well, it's not wrong, but he's just mechanically so much better than everyone he's playing against that what he's actually doing doesn't matter. He's just gonna win anyhow, right?
Exactly. Especially the super high mechanic players like a Raynor who are now dabbling into random. So
yeah.
Okay, going back to your story. I know I like to get off topic a bit here. So you're Terran, you hit Grandmaster League in 2017. What is your favorite matchup now that you've hit Grandmaster League as Terran? Or even modern day Terran?
That's a hard one. I've always been good in TVT and TVP and bad in TVZ because I'm like a hyper aggressive player, and those matchups pretty much award the one being the more aggressive. Whereas versus Zerg, it's more like you have to be mechanically better than your opponent, especially in today. Like there's no way to like just you get a cheeky win. There's like not a lot of all-ins that work, not a lot of there's not a lot of things that catches a Zerg off guard because of like how the creep and the overlord mechanic work. Like they have essentially map hack. I'm not balance binding. It's just like a joke. But and I think it forces Terran to play like in a very certain and specific way. There's like no other build than 3 CC openings, which makes I think the matchup is probably in like a pretty good place right now. Terran is probably a little bit too strong because of ghosts. But I would still like to say that TVP is probably my favorite matchup because I feel like you can always get something done in that matchup. There's always a chance where you can just outright kill your opponent compared to Zerg that feels sometimes unbreakable, and Terran that also sometimes feel unbreakable because it's like how good Terran is with defend disadvantage. And with the Raven nerf as well, the matchup has been like completely different. The matchup used to be, Raven Viking only, and now it's more like you open some Ravens, you go Medivac, and then some Vikings. So being just like hyper aggressive in TVT has also become the new norm, I think. The matchup feels like a little bit more random, but I think it's more fun for viewers to watch it as well because before TVT was like this just stalemate of a matchup where both feels like siege up tanks and waiting for the other one to try and make a move and then stop that move, and the game would always go to like 20 plus minutes. Yeah, TVP is probably my favorite matchup right now.
Okay, so you think you've always been good at TVT, but your favorite matchup is TVP. A lot of variety in that matchup. Chat, go ahead and clip it because you heard it here first. MonstR, Grandmaster League Terran, saying Terran's a little bit too strong. Especially you were talking about ghosts there. Yeah, I think Protoss is. I mean, when I play Protoss, I have a difficult time playing against Terran, especially Mind Drop. So, okay. So your favorite matchup is TVP.
Yeah,
and then
I also want to say something about TVP. I'm pretty sure late game Terran vs Protoss is hugely in favor of Terran as well right now. I don't think Protoss has like a reasonable answer to Ghost Viking. I don't think I ever lose a game when they go into like late game Ghost Viking. It's just so easy to play for Terran, especially with the carrier change, where Vikings just A-move carriers now, where before they would like target the interceptors and die. So like, I feel like sometimes Protoss doesn't really have an answer to getting carpet EMP'd, especially in the late game. Yeah, that was my my short Protoss apologist rant.
So even late game TVP you're talking about with the way in which Colossus work, the targeting for Colossus previously
Carriers.
Or sorry, not Colossus carriers.
Yeah.
I misspoke there. Enemy units from carrier would auto target. What was it? The interceptors. Now it targets the keep on saying Colossus carrier. So, and you said blanket EMP. That's just a bunch of ghosts just EMPing an entire shields off an entire Protoss army. So,
yeah. I mean, like Protoss' only realistic answer to that is like Tempest Disruptor. And I mean, that gets awkward because on a map where there's a lot of environmentals where, you know, high ground, low grounds, ramps and stuff, disruptors lose a lot of their value, especially in late game where Terran can just build a million turrets and like siege a few tanks and then just have the rest Ghosts and Vikings. That seems like super hard for Protoss to play against. I'm very happy I play Terran.
Yeah, that sounds like it can be a very technical micro late game matchup for sure. Okay. Moving along with you as a player, what's your favorite unit in the game? It doesn't even have to be Terran necessarily.
Wow.
Maybe Ghost.
It's not that it's like I think like the Ghost. I like it because it's broken, but I don't think it's my favorite unit to use. Well, maybe. I think my favorite unit. It's probably just the Marine. The Marine is so flexible and so strong. It's good in every stage of the game. I feel like it's like the unit I miss the most when I do like my mech weeks where I only play mech. It's the Marine. Like having the utility of a unit that just attacks up and down early game is so strong. And how well it just scales with upgrades as well. The Marine is fucking sick.
Speaking of Marine, I saw I think it was an Instagram post or maybe even TikTok from Beowulf about, I think it was Beyond dropping like not even a full medevac Marines into a Protoss base and just Beyond having insane efficiency with those limited amount of Marines just killing probes. And yeah, Marine has a great use for sure.
The potential seems like limitless in a sense, right? Because of the fact that they can attack up and down, and they scale with stim, and they get more health with combat shield, like all that stuff. And medevacs make Marines like even stronger. So because they make them more maneuverable, like a fast unit that gets more maneuverable, that's insane. That's crazy.
It'll be interesting to see what is the Stormgate equivalent of a Marine. I mean, I imagine there has to be one. So
yeah, probably.
We had one question in the chat from Arcane Zero. Just a friendly reminder to everybody that's live right now. Feel free to post your questions in the chat, and I'm actually copying and pasting any question that's in the chat into the doc, and we can address those at the end of the podcast. So I won't lose your question like I possibly did previous episode. We're going to have a good history here of every single question, even if it's a troll kind of question, whatever. It's related to StarCraft 2. It's towards MonstR. We'll answer it at the end here. Okay. Let's talk about MMR. Everybody loves talking about MMR, flexing their MMR. What is your current MMR range?
So currently I am between, I'm pretty sure on my MonstR count, like my main account, I'm 5,200, mostly because of playing mech. And then mech week is 5,300. And then I have a barcode account that's in 5,600, which is my more regular MMR. Like I usually float between 5,500 and 5,600 when I'm tryharding. So my MMR range is from 5.2, 5.6. So it's like low GM, mid GM, basically. That's the MMR range for me. And it's always been like that. I've never been like a high GM player. I had a MMR peak of 59.99 and then went on a huge losing streak.
Oh my gosh, one MMR away from
and
6K.
And I remember there was this like Reddit thread. I don't remember. Igor linked it to me. It was like, oh, if you got 59, you basically were 6K. And everyone was like, and Igor was like, no. okay, you either get it or you don't, and that's the truth. Like me being 59.99, it never felt like I was 6K. Never. I was so close but couldn't get it.
that is so close.
Yeah.
And so 5200 kind of playing mech with a particular mech week, but you kind of usually float around 5600.
Yeah.
I was looking at an AGM ladder recently, and the MMR, the 100-point increments or 100 MMR increments for NA at the time when I looked at about a week or two ago, there was a lot of 5.5, 5.4, but where you're at 5.6, there's not a lot of 5.6, 5.7, 5.8. The gap between 5.5 to, let's say, 6K, it's not a lot of players, at least on NA. I know there's a lot more folks that play on EU, so...
I think it's kind of the same case on EU. It's like a massive gap between. I think like if you're good enough to become like 5.6, 5.7, 5.8, you might as well be 6K because like there's not a lot of players there. It's all about like the amount of games you put in. And if you're good enough to get like 5.6, you should be good enough to beat everyone below 5.6 as well. So the only time you should be losing are to people higher than you. And if like that's like how you improve in MMR. Like the only thing you have to do, you never have to beat people that are better than you. You just can't lose against people that are worse than you, right? So as long as you keep beating, like you keep farming these 5.4, 5.3 players, you will always like get higher and higher up in MMR. Because like losing to a 6K player once, it's like -4 MMR. It doesn't matter. But like if these like 10-point victories from 5.4 players, they keep racking up. Like you will reach like pretty insane MMRs pretty quickly if you just like don't lose to those like 4.8 Protosses occasionally.
I could just imagine some 4.8 Protoss in the chat or like listening in the future, or even like a 5.4 player when you said you're farming like a 5.4 player, and to them, they have the mindset of like they have the mindset of I've got nothing to lose. And if you're 5.4 or 5.6 and you're saying you can't lose to these like anywhere from like slightly lower MMR players that are 5.4, 5.5 to all the way down to like 4.8, like those players have the mindset of like I can just go ape shit crazy even if I lose whatever. But if I win against a 5.6 player, it's like plus 40 or something or even more.
Yeah, it's early Christmas.
Early Christmas. Yeah. MMR present for sure. Okay. Some additional questions in the chat that I've been putting back into the doc here. Chat talking about some nostalgia MLG moments. Okay. What is your play style? Do you like cheese, macro, kind of a mixture? You said you had previously talked about having a mech only week.
Yeah, the mech weeks are mostly macro. But me as a player, I have always been timing based, so all ins. I've never been like much of a cheesy player. I have had my big successes has been with like cheese, being like pretty good players with cheese. But I would say that like my playstyle is, I like SCV all ins, especially against Protoss and against Terran as well. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that, but breaking some mech compositions with just pulling all your boys is pretty thing.
I don't think I've seen that for a while. Like, so this is like a bio, like boys pull versus mech.
Yeah, I do it if I see that they play a Viking tank playstyle with very few amounts of Hellbats. I think pulling workers then can be really strong because they don't have that like frontline soaking ability. So like just having your Marines tank while your bio gets up to the tanks is so strong.
Interesting. Oh, you mean you said Marines tank. You mean the SCVs tanking? Like
the SCVs tank.
The tank shots. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. So
if the Marines get up to the tanks, the tanks will start friendly firing each other as well. So there's a lot of advantages to it. The biggest backset is that you lose your economy. So you have to kill them. But I mean, it's an interesting thing. Like if you guys ever play ladder and you're a Terran player and you see some guy playing mech and he just goes tank Viking, you should try it. It's actually, I've had like decent success with it. It's a lot of fun.
So is this a 2 base or like a 3 base timing you're talking about?
Oh, it's mostly like 3 or 4 base. Doing a 2 base SCV pull versus Terran doesn't really make a lot of sense. Because like you don't have enough stuff where you can overwhelm them, even if you pull your boys. You only have like a few Marines and like a few tanks, and having the SCVs tank it's not gonna make a big of a difference because like he basically they always have the same amount of units as you, but like if they play mech and you play bio and you get in like a 3-4 base situation, the bio economy is always better because the mech player has to invest into turrets and stuff while the bio can just keep expanding. So if you're just gonna end up in a position where you have like 30 to 40 more supply, and pulling the workers then it's like actually really strong because effectively instead of your army being a 110 supply army, it's probably gonna be like a 200 supply army, right? With all the workers just smashing into them when they're like stuck on 150 supply, and usually 70 to 8 of those being workers.
Oh, so you pull all the boys to get up to
every single one of them. They're all coming. There's usually some guy left on gas because they're in the gas when I pull all the workers. But yeah, all of them are coming with it. This is like we don't do anything half-hearted. Okay, we're going all in.
That is a commitment for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Also, another one of my favorite plays. I have done this like a lot on stream. Is tricking opponents that I have empty medevacs. Like I send my empty medevacs boosting them towards the main, and like I made them react to like, oh my god, he's doom dropping me, and then I just attacking with my army that's just waiting outside of like sensor tower or creep, and then everything just stims in, and their whole army is just out of position. That's also like a cool move. Another one is putting Widow Mines under tanks against mutas. That's a fun one. If you guys have never tried that one, you should do it. I even had a moment where I was talking to a friend on stream where it was like, wouldn't it be cool if you like attack the Thor until it was like low health? So, and then you put like Widow Mines under it. So when the mutas like see it, they're like, oh, I can kill that. And then they dive in and like the Widow Mines just fire. And I was like, I'll do that. So I attacked my own Thor until I had like 30% health. The mutas like saw the Thor, ran away, saw I was low and was like, oh, I gotta get it. And then they flew back in and just got showered by Widow Mines, and he lost like 60 supply in like 2 seconds. It was beautiful.
These are some troll or kind of like funny strats for sure. Attacking your own Thor, putting some Widow Mines to just destroy some mutas. The tank one, that sounds really awesome too, actually.
So if we have a second, I have a clip of me doing that in a tournament. I'll try and see if I can find it. I'm pretty sure I clipped it. Where my clips.twitch is that? It's like my clips Twitch, right? Pretty sure that's the link.
I'm not sure, but yeah, we can link it in the chat. I don't have a source set up in OBS to display it on the podcast for now, but we can include this in the show notes for people listening in the future, and then for the live folks here, we can put this in the chat.
So this was from a German. Shall I just put it in chat?
Sure.
So I was a bit BM. I'm pretty sure I put a smiley face. But the guy we talked about every game saw this. It was so sick. And the reason why it's called Thanks Monroe is because I asked Monroe, like, I don't know if you guys know who Mick Monroe is, but he's like a old GM, like pretty successful. So, and I asked him, like, how do you deal with mutas? Because mutas is like one of the reasons why I hate playing TVZ. And he was basically just put 4 Widow Mines on a tank, man. That's how you deal with mutas. And I'm pretty sure he was trolling, but I believed him. So I just started doing that. And it's like the thing I always do against Zerg now when I play against mutas. Like, oh yeah, let's just trick him. And they fall for it like a surprising amount of time, like a lot of times, even at like Grandmaster level.
I haven't played a lot of
put your tank in like a vulnerable position, and they're like, "Oh no, the tank is exposed." Then they die for it.
I haven't been playing a lot of Terran at all recently, but now I want to play Terran, and I want to do this. And I've said in previous podcast episodes, it would be really great if this podcast was part of like the meta shift of ladder. You see people doing stuff on YouTube like Hearthstone or whoever, and we see it all, like us average ladder enjoyers. We start to see these like proxy nexus, the ridiculous things. It'd be so great, even if like a pro's doing it in tournament, hearing it on this podcast or through word of mouth. Like we just start to see people doing like mines under tanks. I'm going to open up the clip here. So for folks on the live here, you won't be able to see it, but you should be able to hear it. But I'm going to put this in the show notes, like I said, for... Okay, so this is a clip here. It's called Thanks Monroe from 2 years ago.
Trifft ihn jetzt nur halb schwer, weil hat halt das Ganze in der Army Supply inzwischen.
Is a Swedish caster?
German.
German, okay.
Oh my god!
Okay, so just to narrate what I just saw in the clip here, this is it's a best of 3. We're in game 2 of MonstR versus Drone Hard, and what's the supply here? So the supply is 177 monster. Droneheart is 173. Monsters down 54 workers versus Zergs 83 workers. A handful, not a handful, several mutas are at your like third base now, killing a command center. There's a tank that's kind of positioned in between your third and your natural, it looks like. And there's at least 4 Widow Mines there. So the mutas fly over the Widow Mines.
Ich weiß es nicht. Ist auch egal, aber
I was very proud about the moment.
And we see the supply instantly go for the Zerg supply instantly go from 179 to 135. All the mutas are dead. So, and you do type the Marine smiley face during the game.
It was kind of BM. But as I said, like, we talked about it like after the game, and he was like, "That was actually fucking funny. Like, it was so funny. Like, he was just laughing when I typed that because." Like he knew about, like, I'm pretty sure, like, when I talked, he knew about the Widow Mines as well because he had an overlord over my natural then. He knew that there was a Widow Mines under the tank, but he kind of forgot and like the heat of the moment, and he just like, oh, free tank, and then it's like, and then like when he sees all the white lines, from the target of the wind lines, he was like, oh no.
even better and more wholesome when your opponent like isn't raging and he actually like kind of like props, like that was actually pretty good. So
yeah.
Okay. Not sure if people if you just joined the podcast, the stream here, again, I'm going to give the link that we're just talking about, this clip of a play style that MonstR did in a tournament with some Widow Mines underneath the tank versus a Zerg, and Zerg supply went from 179 to 135 instantly. So great memory for sure. Okay. Next question here. What is your favorite cheese per matchup? And you said you're more of like a timing based type of player. So maybe like favorite timing based, build, let's say.
Well, since Igor is in chat, I have to say that I love 2-rexing. It's my favorite thing to do. I remember me and Igor were playing a custom game once, and it was probably to like settle some dispute. I can't remember what. And I just ended up 2-rexing him, and he was so upset, so mad, and it was so funny. But like, I'm pretty sure I've beaten like so many good players with with the 2-rex. My one win was with the 2-rex. It was like back when I was low masters, like back in the days. I remember I beat him one game with the 2-rex. Pretty good feeling. I've beaten Johnny Rico with 2-rex in the best of 3. I've 2-rexed him twice to just get a quick and easy win. Like the 11-11 has a place in my heart. Okay, it's such a beautiful build. Marines in the early game, man.
11-11, is that a legacy build or is this
11-11 is Wings of Liberty and Heart of the Swarm, so it's
okay.
10 beat, so 11 racks, 11. So that's like why it was called the 11-11.
Yeah, that I forgot about 11-11. Yeah, definitely. Good times, good memories. Okay, had an additional question in the chat I put in the doc. So anybody in the chat, again, if you have a question for MonstR, we can address that towards the end. So favorite cheese, 11-11, just a simple 2-rex, which ends up not being so simple, being super effective in a lot of scenarios, a lot of matchups. And
it's also like the micro potential, right? Because of, and then like some maps you can build 3 bunkers to fully wall, so like they can't surround the bunkers with drones and like general and stuff like that. It's actually like kind of complicated. I wish 2-rex was better against Protoss and Terran. Like if you 2-rex Terran, you have to go 2-rex Reaper, which is not like as fun. Against Protoss, like 2-rex can be good, but usually it's like meh, because of how strong early game Protoss units are, like Stalkers being able to kite Marines, Adept doing like almost 2-shotting Marines in the early game, stuff like that,
Yeah, so without Adepts back then, Stalker Micro isn't what it is today, for sure. Yeah, and I think the maps being smaller too. Maps are giant now. Even setting up that 2-rex, it's gonna take maybe some more time.
Oh, and back then there was also some randomness because we've had a lot of 4-player maps, right? So sometimes the reason why 2-rex was so strong is that you could proxy in the middle of the map, and if your opponent got unlucky, they won't know until it hits you because like they scouted in the wrong pattern or like got unlucky with the scouting.
Yeah, I keep on forgetting too about the force potential force spawn maps. I'm glad we don't have that anymore.
Yeah, it was very unhealthy for the game.
All right, we got a couple more questions to wrap up the player topic here. What are your goals, if you have any, as a player?
Probably try to be Grandmaster until the game dies. I am way past like becoming better as a player now. I don't really play that much StarCraft anymore. The only time I play is basically when I stream, and that's like once in the blue moon. I compete in Swedish tournaments when there are some. I compete in online tournaments when people want me to compete. It's not like on my own accord I sign up to things. It's more like if people are like, hey, you should play this, I will play. But I don't play like any of the weeklies anymore. I don't have the time, and I don't have like the drive to do that. But like if people want to see me play, I'll show up for sure. But no, I don't have any goals other than keeping my rank as a Grandmaster until the very end, I think.
Yeah, that's pretty respectable and understandable, keeping your Grandmaster rank until StarCraft 2 really sunsets, which we don't know when that will be. With the tournament scene dwindling down from professional standpoint, but then the community really stepping up this year, and then Stormgate allegedly being beta sometime this year. So okay.
Yeah, we'll see what happens in Stormgate. I might play it, I don't know. I haven't decided yet, but we'll see.
Okay. Next question here. Do you ever off race, like current day?
Oh yeah. I played a lot of random. I have 1,000 wins with every race. Mostly because like I ended up switching back and forth between races in Wings of Liberty and like Heart of the Swarm. I like went to Protoss, went to Serb, went to Terran, went to Protoss. It's like mostly because like I couldn't, you reach a plateau where you can't improve anymore, and you're like, it has to be the race. So you switch race and you play for a bit. You reach like around the same MMR. I have almost been Grandmaster. I'm pretty sure I've been Grandmaster with Protoss. I got Grandmasters one season. Like when Grandmaster was like 5-3, 5-4, I got Grandmasters with Protoss. Zerg, I peaked 5-2. I tried to get Grandmaster, couldn't do it. Terran held me back. Even when I played Protoss, PvT was my worst matchup. I don't understand. Like, it's like I just fundamentally don't understand how to beat Terran. It's so hard when I off race. But yeah, I played quite a bit of Zerg, and I played like, quite a bit of Protoss. Especially like I played a lot of 2-2 for like a long time. I was a pretty high ranked 2-2 player on Europe, so playing random there was always like obviously an advantage over only playing Terran. Because like there was like some randomness, and like they don't like I understand to play my race, but they don't know what I'm playing, so I used to get an immediate advantage. Yeah, but like 90% of the time I play Terran.
Okay, so 90% of the time you're playing Terran. You said you got the 1,000 wins portrait for random. I'm a bit jealous of that. I don't have that yet, and even getting GM with Protoss when GM is kind of minimum 5-3. I think nowadays, especially NA, it's a lot lower to get GM than something like 5-3, and maybe that's kind of the difference between EU and NA. Yeah. Okay, last question here. We've kind of talked about it indirectly here, but what server do you play on?
I am EU based and not NA cringe. Just kidding. I play on EU, but I played a little on NA as well. I'm pretty sure we're going to that later when we talk about like my past teams and stuff. But I used to work night shift, and back then playing on EU was not very good because there was nobody. When you're up to like 7 a.m., there's nobody playing on EU. But however, NA is very live and well. So I played on NA for basically like 3 or 4 seasons. So I have played like a lot of games on NA. I'm pretty sure I have like 4 or 5K games on NA.
Yeah, that's a good amount of games for sure. Do you ever play on Korea?
No, the ping is like I'm pretty sure I have 400 ping. I'd rather play on Australia than play on Korea. Like the ping is better to Australia.
Yeah, 400. But I complain when I try to play. I think EU, the best I can get from NA West is like 140, 150, and I'm just like, I don't want to play this. And similar ping to Korea. It might be a little bit better in Korea from NA West, but I'm so spoiled. Just whenever I get NA West, I'm in heaven.
Yeah.
Okay, so that wraps up the category about you as a player. Let's talk about you as a streamer. So you're when did you start streaming on Twitch?
So I'm pretty sure I started talking about this little player section, but I started streaming with a friend of mine that I met through StarCraft called Riley, and me and Riley met playing team games, and he's an Australian third player, and he doesn't play anymore. He doesn't we don't really talk anymore. Unfortunately, I'm still like he was part of a friends group that I still talk to. So like I still have contact with some of the friends, but he's like married now. His life is completely different. I've tried messaging him once or twice, but he doesn't he doesn't want to reach out to me, and that's fine. People grow apart. It doesn't really matter. But we made a Twitch channel called Aki and Me, and we had something called the Farmers League, which was like this just fun idea we had, where we had made a spreadsheet where like a bunch of challenges that you had to like go through, and you would go to like random.org. There was like a 100 challenges, and like people would play against each other in 1v1 games, where like on stream, and they had to like do one of these like random challenges. So like there was like build a wall, where like you had to build like the Great Wall of China in the middle of the map with like depots and buildings. That was like your one goal during the game, or it was like only playing certain like mono battles and stuff like that. So that's how my career started. And after that, when he kind of got a girlfriend, he moved on in life, and I was stuck here alone, I just took over the Twitch channel and I started streaming my 1v1 games, and like saving clips to YouTube and doing stuff like that. And that I'm pretty sure like I streamed a little bit because back then I'm pretty sure we had like 200 followers, and back then like in 2010, 2011, 2012, 200 followers was like kind of big because we weren't just in TV then. It wasn't Twitch. It was like before we merged. So like we were like I would like get like 30-40 viewers every time I streamed, which was like pretty big back then, because like the only big streamer was Destiny, who would like get every single view that was on the platform because it was the only big streamer. But like I would get like a decent amount of views when I played Terran ladder. I also had like the problem where like my computer wasn't very good at then. No, there's one computer. My internet wasn't very good back then. I grew up playing on like DSL, if you guys know what that is. It's like it's not like the phone line, but it is. Well, it is the phone line, but it's not like you lose connection when someone calls you. But it is internet through the phone line, and it's copper wiring, so it's like it's very, very bad internet. So the stream quality was really bad. But yeah, that's basically how it all started out.
You might be the oldest streamer I've had on the podcast. If you're talking about Justin TV days with Destiny, I mean, getting 40 viewers back then, the Justin TV days, is absolutely massive. So it's already an early on accomplishment. It even looks like Veteran Gamer in the chat said he streamed on Justin TV. For folks that remember Destiny, I think he still streams. Hasn't done StarCraft in many years. I actually checked him out a couple weeks ago. I think he's still doing his like political debates and combination of personal life stuff. Still has a massive following there. But for you to be streaming back then, getting 40 viewers, when like you said, someone like a Destiny or maybe even chat saying like Idra is soaking up all the viewers, is impressive. And going back to your friend that you're no longer in contact with, I think I've seen some social media video of you might have an instance as a gamer where you're playing with your friends, like team games or whatever it may be, and there may be a time in your life where that game you're playing with that friend, it might be the last game you ever play with that person, and it's not until after that happens that you realize, shit, man, that was like the last StarCraft 2 game we played together, and it's a bummer. It sucks to never play a game with a friend ever again, because understandably, because of life circumstances, getting married, having kids, or moving away, whatever the case may be. But I can understand having a lot of fun with a friend, playing games, and then that moment's just gone in time.
Yeah, it's like one of those realities where, like, as you said, like one like. I usually we have this Discord called Basement Dwellers, which is like a Discord for a lot of like NA players and some EU players. But like we're at StarCraft friends group, and like I've said it before, like imagine like the last time we played together, like we're just gonna like one day nobody's just gonna show up and it's all gone, and like you kind of want to cherish the moments like you have together now because you don't know how long it will last, right?
Absolutely. The older I get, I really feel what you just said there. Just cherishing the moment, and even chat talking about veteran gamer talking about he misses an old team he made, and life sucks sometimes. Yeah, that just happens. People either stop becoming a gamer for whatever reason, but just got to enjoy it for sure. Okay, continuing on to the streamer topic here. What kind of streams do you enjoy broadcasting? If you were to fire up a stream, you were talking about Mech Week. Do you like try hard? Are you super interactive with chat, or do you kind of like a hybrid?
So the streams I do, it has more like I usually only stream like either when I do these like Mech Week things, and then it's like very casual. I used to do fun things. I used to do like these streams where I had a friend called Rare in Discord with me, and he would like tell me what I should do. Like he would tell me like, oh, only play how about Thor this game, and then I'll do that. He like give me different challenges and I do that. So like usually when I stream, it's like I just do fun stuff. I don't really like try harding on stream, mostly because like I think I play worse when I stream. So it's more fun to just do something I enjoy, just do something fun. And like it's very fun like when chat like enjoys the kind of content you put out, like they're laughing, they're thinking like, oh my god, I can't believe this worked, like this is so stupid. And I'm like, I know it's insane. So that's the kind of streams I enjoy. I've always been like the kind of person where I like to make people laugh. So if I'm not making content that makes people laugh, I don't enjoy making the content in a sense. And if it's like through me making jokes or like being like an interactive person, or it's me doing stupid stuff in a video game, like I don't really care. It's like the end goal is to make people like, have a good time and have fun, basically.
So you've got a Discord called Basement Dwellers, and there was some recent like U.S. news about like U.S. intelligence leaking on a Discord server, and it sounds like this could be one of those Discord servers. Like
that one definitely. Oh my god, you have
the,
so much shit on the U.S. government. You have no idea.
The U.S. government, now they're listening to the podcast. They got their eyes on the live stream here. The U.S. intelligence leaked to the StarCraft 2 Basement Dwellers Discord. It's good to hear that. We had heard this in a recent previous podcast episode with ATC Racer talking about just enjoying entertaining, like funny type of content when you do stream. And I should try that more as well. I think sometimes I try hard too much and get in my own headspace with blinders on of like, I'm only playing the game. Maybe even forgot I'm actually streaming. So, I
mean, to each your own, right? Like you have to find the kind of content that you like creating. The problem is like if you're creating content that you do not enjoy, your stream is not either. So you have to like send out that kind of energy. Like, oh, I love doing this thing. This is what I like. Because I remember like the days where I tried to like stream every day for a month during the summer, and like the last 15 streams, like it was fun the first 16 days. The last 15 days were horrible. Like the viewer count went down. I was not really feeling it. I didn't want to play those games, but I promised myself that I would stream every single day. It's just like, if you're not creating content that you like you might as well not create content, because like nobody's going to want to watch you just go through misery and like depression and anxiety. Like it was not fun playing those games on StarCraft in those days. Like there was nothing fun about it because like I was burnt out of ideas. I just didn't enjoy the game as much anymore. And like people had to watch that, and it's honestly kind of sad.
The last 15 days of that month you're talking about remind me of Idra. I'm sure folks in chat have watched Idra at like the downfall of his professional career in streaming. I think SC2 Historian on YouTube had made kind of a video about him, but to see him just so angry playing the game. I mean, sure, there's some level of like, haha, it's funny, whatever, but it's a bummer to see somebody so upset, at a game and not really having fun anymore. And I think that's what did it for him in particular. So if we're talking about longevity of sticking with a game, yeah. For folks that aren't familiar, kind of TLDR, Idra was a professional StarCraft 2 Zerg player for Team Evil Geniuses. He was a streamer, frequent professional tournament player, but his live streams were just him raging at every single game, him raging at his opponents, just raging at like the current meta of the game, being pretty bad mannered, I'd say. I mean, we've seen some probably even worse mannered players, but pretty bad mannered players, pretty bad mannered to his opponents. So.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure like the draw, like the tipping point was like, I'm pretty sure he made like a liquid post about how much he hated his, and that was like when EG was like, okay, timeout, wait, we can't do it. Like you can't go around saying calling like your viewers slurs. I'm not really sure what words he used. I'm not gonna say them, but he called his viewers really bad things, and EG was like, like we can't have you like these are like your diehard fans. They're giving you money, they're giving you time, they're giving you appreciation, and you just can't just go around calling them idiots. Like it doesn't work like that. And he just did it for so long that they kind of just decided like, you know what, like this is it. We're gonna have to let you go. Like they even hired esports like mental coaches for him, and it didn't help. Yeah, and he also like as the veteran gamers in chat, he was like the best foreign player like back in the days, like when it comes to Brew War. Like nobody else was good, but he got like sent to practice in Korea when nobody else was. Like he was really, really good in Brew War. Amazing.
Right, and that's what makes it so sad having his really excellent. I don't know too much about Brood War, but I do understand a bit of his history at being professional, going to Korea as a Brood War player, and then his downfall in StarCraft 2. And this is back when Evil Geniuses and Team Liquid were like the pinnacle teams. They had premier sponsors like Monster Energy, no pun intended, you being MonstR. So for sure. Yeah, there's ramifications if you're a professional acting in that way. But if you're having fun with your personal stream, like you're talking about here, it's all in good fun. Okay. Let's talk about your like affiliate, current partner status as Twitch. You're a partner, mm-hmm. and you started off in the early days of Justin TV. Let's talk about the history of Justin TV to modern day partner.
Yeah. So I mean, like, as I thought about, I started up doing this like thing, and then I got signed with a team called London Conspiracy. I can't remember which year, back in 14, 15, and they were sponsored by Twitch. And back in the days, if you were on a team sponsored by Twitch, basically what they would do is that they would there was like 3 ways to get partnered in back in the day. So like when you apply for a partner contact, it was either high viewership, you're like a popular person, like they would just give you a contract if you were popular enough. Like if Hillary Clinton was like, I want to stream on Twitch, they would be like, here's the contract. And she probably wouldn't do that. AOC played Among Us with Hassan, which is like kind of cool, but yeah. But like, or you could be on a team that was sponsored by Twitch, and that was like the thing I was part of. And I remember like that was like such a huge thing for me, because that means like I got partnered. So when like the contracts were really good. So now, like if you sign a contract, like Twitch takes, I'm pretty sorry, like it's 50-50 subs. And like there's some other parts. I don't think I can talk too much about the contract actually, but there are some benefits in my contract that would seem insane to people that get partnered today. But the contract hasn't changed since like I signed it back in 2015, which is like insane. Like sometimes when I read it, I'm like, wow, like actually like these are things that like that I can do. Like these are things they have accounted for. And like it's part of my like my how to say yeah, whatever. Like this is like the things like you expect of me and stuff like that. Oh, that's insane. Okay, well, glad I know that.
Makes me wonder if you were getting partner back in, what was it, 2015, like several years ago, and if you're in some type of grandfathered plan in a sense compared to like, let's say somebody gets partner today, what is the difference between the partners? And
I'm definitely like, when I get my payouts from Twitch, you can see that like I don't need a lot of subs to like get more money than people that have a lot of subs. Like it's big difference.
Yeah, for sure. It's a big advantage of you getting in the game early on streaming with Justin.tv. It's paying off for sure. Okay. Let's see. And then what are your goals for streaming?
Well, um, I want to reach 500 followers. Like I'm pretty casual about streaming right now. I just stream whenever I feel like I have the energy to create content I enjoy, and I'm pretty sure like every time I stream, I get some amount of viewers that I'm like, people show up to watch my streams because I think people enjoy watching me. When I want to create content, I know like sometimes I stream because I feel like I have to, and those days like I get no viewers, no one wants to watch it because it's not fun to like, as I said before, like watching someone create something they don't want to create. So I stream whenever I have the energy and there's something I want to stream. We're gonna be talking about like the tournaments I've been organizing and stuff like that. Those are things I always stream, which I think is like having my own platform, owning the rights to like broadcasting my own tournament is like something that's so nice because it means I own the vaults, I own everything. Like I can create whatever kind of content I want from it. So like having that personal autonomy is obviously great. But like as in like what will be my next step as a streamer, I don't ever see myself wanting to do it full time. I don't even want to see myself do it part time. I just want it to be like when I want to stream, I want people to show up because like I want people to take well, I don't really care if people show up actually, but I just like when I stream, I just want to be in a place where like I can create content that I like and I can create content that people enjoy watching. That's it.
Yeah, that's such a healthy mindset as a streamer. It can be so easy to get caught up in viewer count and a lot of the metrics that the Twitch creator dashboard sets as goals. So it's nice to hear that you stream when you want to, and you just like, as long as you're enjoying making the content and you know your viewers are enjoying it, it's a good time for sure.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure you know that like having one interactive viewer is like more fun than having 10 viewers that don't say anything. Like because like the 10 viewers is just a number.
Yeah, absolutely. I prefer smaller streams, hence the podcast, the podcast name. I'm typically I will prefer to hop into a smaller StarCraft 2 streamer than, you know, like I did watch a little bit of Big Gabe, for example, earlier today, but I mean the chat's just flying by. It feels less personal. And when you're streaming and you see chats or smaller chats interactive, it's a good feeling for sure. Okay, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about the streamer category here before we move on to the next topic?
Not that I can come up with on the spot. I'm pretty sure like I have nothing else to say about my stream.
Okay, cool.
Maybe like if you guys like, I have some funny clips in my Twitch channel. If you guys want to see them, I have this clip of me like when I was off racing, I steal the disruptor and blow up all the Protoss disruptors. I have some sick Widow Mine hits, like stuff like that. Like just check out my clips. It's yeah. Like that's like I feel like that's like the best part of streaming is that you can capture these moments. Like you can capture like these epic moments that happen in your game, and like it like usually when you play video games and something sick happens, you have no way of like saving that moment, right? Like it's just you playing a game. But like if you're streaming it, that means that it's immortalized on the internet. Like everyone can see this moment happen, and I feel like that's also like a huge part of streaming. And so when I decide if I want to do a play or not, I have this mental thing that goes through my head. It's like, okay, would this make for a good YouTube clip? Okay, it's like, yes, okay, we're doing it. Let's go.
That's great. Yeah, clips are really underrated. And as a viewer, I sometimes try to remind myself, like, this is how I can be interactive with the streamer. Sensations hanging out in the chat, one of my moderators. He has a lot of sound like blurb clips and channel point redemptions for sounds that's part of his stream. And when we kind of go off on his stream with the sounds, that's when I like to clip something there. Nish, like the StarCraft Observer, fairly recently implemented like a camera zoom feature for channel points. And I made a clip out of that. Wootsikle's in the chat. Wootsicle has some really funny moments. I think I clipped one moment in one of his streams a week or two ago. So it's a good way to. It's like your chat could create the YouTube short for you or something, you know. So yeah, definitely. So if you're in the chat and you're this grassroots community of StarCraft, you're watching streams, don't forget, make clips. You know, you find a funny moment and make clip, whether it's a tournament you're watching or a small time streamer. It's It's a great boost to the streamer and to the community. And we've got a massive raid here from Little Mac. Speaking of fellow Grassroots community, Little Mac is a big time caster for a lot of tournaments, a lot of Master League tournaments, a lot of Diamond tournaments. Competed in one of his tournaments a while ago. So thank you, Little Mac, for the raid. 28 folks, welcome. We got Ray Rain up in here, professional player. So welcome to everybody. This is the Grassroots StarCraft 2 podcast. I'm PCH, and we've got MonstR on this evening or morning for him. So he's a Grandmaster League Terran. The topics we've gone through so far are him as a player, and right now we're kind of wrapping up the streamer topic. So he was just talking about clips and how valuable they kind of are if you want to make fun content, for sure. Little Mac ain't so little, for sure. Okay, so now we can talk about the MonstR Invitational and some of the casting you've done. Let's talk about, jumping right into the MonstR Invitational. What is that?
So I think we should start at the other end. So I think we should start at the LBNT part, which is like the team that I started playing for. And this was like back in 2011, 2012 was like the first team. Well, 2010, 2011, which was like the first team I was a part of. And LBNT hosted something called Gold Rush and Diamond Rush on Seek.com. I remember you and me talked a little bit about this in the pre-show. And basically the NA side was run by a guy called Orb. And I remember like my first chance like getting to cast was like such a funny thing. I remember me and Jay Kelvick casted together, and it was just like this like aspect of StarCraft that I've never experienced before. Like making my thoughts about the game into like commentating them and like as they happen on the screen, and like giving the insight that I had as like a Terran player commentating, a Terran playing in the tournament. I was like such a unique feeling, and I was like, I actually kind of like this. And my father has always been like it's called like a speaker, which is like when you're a commentator for like sports. So he does like a lot of local things for like the football teams and the hockey teams, like here in my hometown. So I already had like seen my friend. I was like, oh, it's really cool that I can do this for video games. So I got kind of hooked on that, and I casted every time I wasn't competing in the Diamond Rush. I would always cast the Gold Rush. I never was involved in the NA side. I only did the EU. But that's like how my casting started. And I've hosted like tournaments throughout the years, like smaller ones. But the big one I did was back in 20. Let's see, I have the Liquipedia up. So it was back in 2020, after like towards the end of my summer vacation, because we have mandatory 4 weeks of vacation. And during the last week, I was like, we're gonna throw a tournament. I had like $400 to spend, like $500, I think. And I hosted like a 2-day event where like on the Saturday we had a team event with all the players. Like they got signed up on 2 different teams. I had 2 friends of mine like pick players between them. Like they went back and forth until they had a team of 4 players. And then these 4-play teams played a best of 3 against each other. And the winner of it would get, I think they got $10 per win, and then the team victory would get the players like an additional $10. And it was like this great event. And then like the main event where I had Panda Bear me play against Riser in the finals. Panda Bear retirement this tournament. It was so sick to see. I love Isaac, one of my best friends in StarCraft. But he came out of it like to play in the tournament. I had like 16 friends of mine sign up, and it was like the biggest reason why I made this tournament is actually because I think like a lot of foreigners and like a lot of players are entitled. Like I've seen like a lot of people complain about that. Oh, this tournament, like this big prize pool tournament, I wasn't allowed to play. So it's like, if there's like a big $500 tournament and like some of these people aren't invited, that would be pretty fucking funny. People would get really mad, and it would be funny. And like the second like the tournament happened, I saw some guy in Twitch chat like, oh, what the, this guy played in it, I'm so much better than him. Why wasn't I invited? Why couldn't I play in this thing? Why wasn't I made aware of this tournament? And I just like lied on my bed, and I was like, oh, I can die happy now. This is the point of this thing.
It's a bit of a psychology move, to whether intentional or not, and inviting like additional like high level players. It's a bit of maybe even a hype for if you're going to do a follow-up tournament, you know, for people who are like, why wasn't I invited to this? And in your Twitch chat, and it just builds up the hype for an additional, like a future tournament. But starting off, it was with the Gold Rush, the Diamond Rush type of tournaments, playing in it, casting in it, and then 2020 EU mandatory vacation. Someone said in chat, this does sound nice from an NA perspective. I think NA needs to learn a lot from EU, even outside of StarCraft. So yeah, we were talking about like quality of life, EU kind of versus NA in the pre-show. So okay,
yeah. So this event was like actually like I'm pretty sure like we did one the year after. It's like pretty big success. Like I have clips of it on my Twitch channel of like Igor fungling. He was playing against Ethereal, who's another NA, and it was like Ling Ultra versus Lurker Infestor, and he just fungled like 50 supplier banelings, and you don't see that happen. Like you never see that happen, but that happened in that game, and it was so sick, so cool. So yeah.
You said you had a Liquipedia pulled up right now. Is that something you can link in chat?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I can link it to the gang. So if you look like the player, like there's like a lot of recognizable names, especially like in the mid level to high level of NA. Maples played in this. Hapsaya played in this. Hapsaya are pretty far around. Macintac played. Like a lot of these, Caleb Baracus, like a lot of these people are friends of mine from Basement Dweller. So you know, like a lot of these names are used. Yeah, like a lot of these people I just invited my friends to this, basically. I just wanted to host a tournament for like my friends, and it was a huge success. Like I had a pretty big viewership. Like everybody showed up. That's like the best thing about having your friends participate in tournaments is that you don't have to be like, oh, this player some might not show up. No, everybody showed up, and it was so nice. Like we went through every series on stream, we watched every single game, we casted every single game, and like everybody enjoyed it. And I remember like after the game, like after people got knocked out, they wouldn't like leave the tournament. They all sat in the Discord tournament and like talked about the games, and like just it was like a big family hanging out. So it was really cool.
I like that. I like to hear that the players are talking about the game even after the tournament's over. To kind of give a auditory navigation here of the link you just gave in chat here for folks listening just on a podcast platform. This is called the MonstR Invitational. Like you said, this is the year is 2020. Prize pool is 350. Liquipedia tier is minor. It's a 16 invited players. All matches are best of 3. The finals are best of 5. Prize pool going top to bottom here. First place $200. Second place $100. Third place $50. At this point, I hopefully wouldn't be spoilers, but first place being Panda Bear Me, like you said, coming out of retirement. Second place is Riser, third place is Maples, and then fourth place is Hapsaya. I got to meet Hapsaya fairly recently at the NorCal Starfest. Really cool dude. And yeah, I see Maples in various Twitch chats like Uko. I think I might have even seen Panda Bear Me and hop in my stream at one point a while ago. But this looks like a fun tournament. I recognize Macintac in here. Caleb Atrocious, that sounds like a familiar ID that I might have watched back in the day. Yeah, it's just like overall just like a fun tournament of players for sure.
Yeah, and then we have like some small community members like Liquid. He doesn't really stream anymore, but like he was in there. He's like part of our friends group. Glaive also part of our friends group. Timoris, I don't know if you guys remember him. He was like one of the, when they had like the Collegiate Star League, he was like the star player for Austin, Texas, like the University of Austin, Texas. So he was also in there. He's a great friend of mine. And then the like this Crumb, the owner of Cryptic Gaming, was in there. Endless, also a streamer. Cool kid. You know, like there was just like a bunch of players in there. Like they're all my friends basically. And it was like this very like, if you see like the dialogue between the players, like people will like every game, people would like have a conversation in the game. Like they didn't actually care that much about winning. It was more like having fun, right? And the tournament was like a very successful format. And as I said, like it accomplished what I wanted it to.
Yeah, I'm just kind of looking at the differences between the brackets here. Like the lower bracket, Hapsaya had a hell of a run, like 2-0, 2-0, 2-1. And then getting in the quarterfinals, 2-1 again, and then ends up being Maples knocking him out 2-1 in the lower bracket semifinals. That's a hell of a run, honestly.
Oh, we were so impressed by Hapsaya during that tournament. Like we because like we know he was good, but like when he put it when he beat everyone in the lower back, we were like, oh my god, it's gonna happen. Like he's gonna get to the finals. And then Maple was like, nope. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean Maples, of course, being like a top NA player. It's I mean, it was 2-1. So I mean, Hup took a game off of him, which is I'm not sure where Hup's MMR is exactly, but that's impressive. Mm-hmm. Oh, I didn't see in Discord here. You sent a screenshot of your MMR 55,999. Kind of going back to that topic. That's a tough brutal, one, man. That's a tough one, man.
I immortalized it with a screenshot at least, like people can call me, like they can say whatever they want, but like I know what happened. It's brutal. War changes people, man.
When you were this 5,999, do you remember what the minus was on that?
Oh, the game I lost after that?
Yeah.
No, I don't remember. I just remember it was a heavy because the next morning when I woke up, I was like heartbroken. So, yeah.
Dude, I would be screaming if I was 5,999 and getting a loss. Like, oh, I'd have to step away. Okay. I know as far as order in the doc here, so it looks like we started talking off about Laserbeam Ninja Team. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then a bit of the casting, and then talking about the MonstR Invitational. Is there anything else in this category here you wanted to talk about?
I hosted a Wings Liberty tournament the year after. That was also won by Panda BME, and the finals was Panda BME. And that tournament was it was not as big, but it was like the same. It was fun. I'll see if I can find it on Wikipedia. And like hosting a Wings Liberty tournament was actually really interesting. It was like a fun thing. This was like a way small tournament. It's like I think it was 16 players, but the Wikipedia only chose 8 because like the other games sucked, to be honest. But like making people play Wings of Liberty when they had like some of these people that played didn't play Wings of Liberty. It was like actually like a lot of fun. Pili getting Baneling busted like 3 games in the finals was also like kind of exciting to see. Because like he had Panda Bear in every macro game, and then Isaac was like, you know what? If you don't understand how to wall, I will just keep Baneling busting you.
Okay,
I'll link it in chat as well. So this was the second tournament I hosted. So this was in 2021, and there was supposed to have been a MonstR Invitational 3 in 2022. We would play Heart of the Swarm, but something came. Like I had some personal issues, so I couldn't host it, and I decided not to host it. I might host it this summer, but I haven't decided yet. It might be because like a lot of players that play in this don't really play StarCraft anymore. It's like forcing them to forcing Isaac to come out of retirement is one thing, but forcing every single one to come out of retirement, yeah, that's pretty rough.
I'm not sure if we have is Pili in the chat still? He was in the chat earlier, but yeah, for anybody that's in the chat, show some love in the chat if you want to see a MonstR Invitational 3. So this MonstR Invitational 2, Wings Liberty 2021, like you're saying. Prize pool is 200. Location is, it says North America, but I see, some EU players as well. And like you said, Panda Bear Me winning it again. Pili coming in second. Jackal coming in third. And then Groovy Man coming in fourth. Oh, you had Foxer in this. Practice X. Practice X is a great dude. Get some good raids from Practice X. Disrespect. Again, Caleb Atrocious and Riser being in the notable participants. Yeah, and Panda Bear Me having a run in the lower bracket. He lost to
Pill in the upper and then had to go for a lower bracket run in the tournament. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that sounds like a good history for sure. Oh, there's a player called Barry Punch. Is that
that's Barry Crunch? Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's Barry Crunch. I was like, there's a different player named Barry Punch. Maybe a typo or something.
I'm pretty sure, like the guy who did this for me on Alpha, whatever. I'm pretty sure, like he just like it says Wilo, but it wasn't Wilo. His name is Alith, I think. His name is the streamer. I can't remember his name, but like it's not Wilo. It's like another. It's another Zerg player. I just haven't like gotten around to like change everything. Because like I'm pretty sure like they have to confirm it, and then like if I don't get the name right, it's
Yeah, and something that's what is it, approaching 2 years ago? It might be tougher to get actual verification. I know Liquipedia tries to be strict about some of their like history verification. So, okay, awesome. So MonstR Invitational 1 and 2 might see MonstR Invitational 3 this summer. Okay, let's talk about you as a fan. Current favorite pro players. Let's talk about that.
So currently, I would have to say probably Maru, because he's just super impressive. He just like always finds a way to win games that I don't think I can win. Like he just forces like these absolutely long games, like insanely long games where he just out macros, and outperforms all his opponents. It's just so magical to see. If I had to choose a foreigner, probably Clem, because he's just so fast, and that's also impressive to see. He's not quite as Maru's level, but he's definitely super, super good.
So top favorite player Maru, and then kind of maybe a close second would be Clem. Clem still being really young, and with somebody like really fast mechanics, it'll be hopefully good to see that translate in Stormgate. So for sure. Okay. Which pro tournaments are your favorite, would you say? I mean, we're seeing GSL kind of dwindle down this year. Is that still a favorite for you?
I'd say my favorite tournament has always been HomeStore Cup, because, as I said, like the MonstR Invitational has this like family feeling. HomeStore Cup definitely has the same feeling to it. Like it's just like a bunch of friends hanging out for a weekend, drinking and playing StarCraft. So it's like such a cool thing to see. So and it's always like great moments happening in the Take TV studio. So I really like HomeStore Cup.
Have you been to a HomeStore Cup? What's the commute like there for you?
I have never been to HomeStore Cup. I've actually never been to an event outside of Sweden to compete in StarCraft or like watch StarCraft. I really like being in Sweden. I think Sweden is an amazing country. I've left the country for other things, but not for StarCraft purposes. Yeah.
Okay. And then I guess what you had just said about like not really leaving Sweden for any StarCraft events. This is how many live events have you been to? Any live events in Sweden?
So I've been to DreamHack a few times to watch StarCraft, and I've been to like smaller live events, like local events. So the team I played for the longest time was a Swedish crowd called Compass Clone. I'm wearing their jersey right now, and they once a year they host something called the Compass Land. And I used to go to that every year, and I would never win it, but it was really fun to participate because it was an all Swedish StarCraft tournament, and everybody knew each other. It was like a lot of fun, usually like in southern Sweden, so I had to travel like a very long time. I was usually exhausted when I got there because I live in northern Sweden, so it's like, I don't know if you guys have seen Sweden. It's like a massive country, like from a length, like top to bottom, and I lived towards the very top, and I had to go to like Gothenburg, which is basically at the border to Denmark. It's like very, very far down. Like we're talking like in Swedish, it would be like 150 miles. I don't know what that's in American, but probably like 250 miles. Like a lot. It's like that's a long travel. But those events I've always liked enjoying. When there have been like local lands, like StarCraft 2 competitions in the closed cities, I've been to all of those. Frostbite was like a thing in the like a close city. There's Norrsken, which is like a Swedish LAN event. DreamHack used to be in a close town to me as well, but it doesn't exist anymore. It's been replaced by Norrsken. Like all those local lands I go to as well. But like traveling out, like going to Katowice and stuff like that, even if it's close and like travel isn't that expensive, I can't like the feeling of not being able to go home whenever I want. It's like a feeling that I don't like. I like the comfort of like I can always return home, you know.
Yeah, that's totally a personal choice, and it's nice to hear a bit of like Sweden kind of StarCraft history, like local events, having to travel all the way, being in the north to the south. And when you went to Compass Land, you said you wouldn't win that. Who was winning the Compass Land?
Oh, so one year a guy called Lovecrit won it. Another year a guy called Bloop won it. there was like because like I've been like a pretty good Swedish player, but there's always been someone better than that showed up to that land and just crushed me. There's not like there hasn't been like there wasn't like a lot of people at those things. There was most Compass was like the biggest Swedish clan, but we never had people like Sword Off or stuff like that. We have Starnan in the clan right now, who's like he's like an ex-pro. He was like very good in Wings of Liberty, but he's not very good now. But he's in the clan. He's like a known name. I know Thorstein like heard about Compass and like was interested in joining, but ended up not doing it, which it's sad. That would have been a great addition. But I mean, like the Swedish community is kind of small right now. We do things together sometimes. We had Funcraft a few weeks ago where I don't know if you know Fighting Frog is. He ended up taking that down against me in the final, so I got second place in that. But like the Swedish community is like it's not that strong anymore, and it's kind of sad to see. And I wish that we could find a way to band together like the few people we have left and just like make something happen. But it's very hard. Like we in the Compass clan, like we work. It's not very hard, but we work like a decent amount of time trying to make it happen. But it's hard to gain friction, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's hard to get, like you said, talking about the MonstR Invitationals, it's hard to get retired players out of retirement to play for a particular tournament, even if there is some type of financial prize pool there. We actually have McIntack in chat, so welcome. Again, reminder to everybody in the chat as we're kind of progressing through the podcast here. If you have a question for MonstR, I've been copying and pasting your questions into the doc here. We're gonna address all those questions at the end of the podcast.
I actually think like one of those things that I've learned from like hosting tournaments stuff like that is that, and it's like it's not my original idea. My friend Siegfried, it's like usually if people haven't decided that they're gonna play in like an event, like even if like any amount of money is not gonna change that. Like people, as you said, like are not gonna come out of retirement to play in a $500 prize per tournament. If they decide they're gonna play this tournament, they're gonna play it whether it's like a $10 or $15 event. They don't really care about the money. They like kind of want to do it for like the coming out to play and doing the thing. So the money doesn't really change that. So like making these people come out of retirement just to play games is like, yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, I think that's what I saw on the NA scene recently with NorCal Starfest. There was a lot of players that had, were retired, and they whether they had to travel kind of locally, or I think even folks flew into that. It's like a small NA tournament, and it did, like you said, it didn't matter about the prize pool, just the fact that they for whatever reason chose to play in that tournament. So, and we got Hupsaya. We were just talking about your run in one of the MonstR Invitationals. It's good to see you in the chat, sir. Okay, so that's you were just talking about the Swedish kind of local events, kind of preferring being close to home. There's a lot of comfort in being close to home, understandably. So, all right. So now we're at the text-based Q&A with chat. So I have a list here of questions. If you're just joining the podcast now live, feel free to post your question to MonstR. I'm copying and pasting these into the doc, and we're gonna go kind of one by one here. So the first question. This is, of course, a troll question. How do I build a bunker?
Okay, so I actually took the time to look this up. So what you need to do is that you need to dig a hole 2 feet deeper than the height of the bunker. So you need to dig a hole down, okay? And then you have to pour concrete stairs leading down to the bunker because like you want it to be something stable that isn't like affected by like weather and stuff like that. And then use I-beams to support the entryway roof. And then you place corrugated steel across the top of the container as a base for the concrete roof. And then you weld a rebar frame around the stairs. So like you have this like setup for a bunker. But if you want to build a bunker in StarCraft, I have the hotkey set to U. So it's you select an SV, build, and then U, and then you place it. I think that's like slightly easier, but building a bunker in real life might be a nice thing to do as well.
If somebody in chat builds a physical bunker, I think we would all love to see a picture of this. So feel free to tweet it to me or send it to me on Twitch. If you're out there and if you're very hands-on mechanical and you build a bunker because of this podcast, we all want to see it. So I like that first answer about how to physically build a bunker rather than the in-game option. But
hey, like if you answer me, if you give me a troll question, I will answer with a trolled answer. So
awesome. Okay, next question here. What is the point of mech builds when bio is mostly played?
So I think MechWeek started as a thing where it was like we had been talking about playing Mech against Protoss for a long time. TY made a YouTube video back in 2017 about Mech versus Protoss, and he played like a few times in Pro League and in GSL. And we just started with like, what if we just gave it a shot? What if we just play Mech for a while? And it turned out that Mech wasn't actually good, but it wasn't horrible either. And it's actually like we were all kind of getting burnt out from playing StarCraft the regular way. So giving us like we had to figure out how to play Mech. It gave us like this burst of energy to play StarCraft again and like enjoy the game. But the reason why we only did it for a week is because, after a week it kind of gets old. Like you die to the same old twice. You can't really figure it out. You hit like a plateau. So it's better to just go back to playing the standard way and like let the pros figure stuff out. But it's like fun for like short amount of time to be innovative and try something new. That's like the reason why we played Mech instead of Bio.
Interesting history about TY playing it in like GSL, and was it, you said it was Pro League back when they had Pro League for SA2? Yeah. Okay. It's fun to figure out builds, and I think that's what we see in modern day like YouTuber StarCraft is they're figuring out how to play certain strategies that are less common. Okay, next question, somewhat troll question, is Protoss OP?
Right now, no. I think Protoss is weak, and that's a serious answer. I know people in chat are gonna hate that, but I think Protoss is pretty weak right now.
How would you say Protoss is weak?
I think their options of dealing with Ghost in the late game is really bad. They seem to struggle against the Spore, Viper, Corruptor, Queen, like Lurker thing that Zerg does late game. Like the infinite value of Vipers just seems insane for Protoss to deal with, especially with the carrier nerfs. Protoss got like a lot of nerfs in the lower leagues, but like the last balance patch was basically made to, the way I interpret it, is to make it that like Protoss was supposed to be more fun to play against, without touching without changing the balance at the pro level. And like making the disruptive ball smaller, like a lot of their strong things just got weaker, and they got no real compensation for it. It's like, oh, they got faster upgrades, like what to do? Like who cares? Like they weren't even getting that many upgrades to start with because they were just like massing disruptors and carriers in the first place. So yeah, I think Protoss is very weak right now.
As a diamond noob, I would agree. I mean, it's more of an off race for me, but I do struggle with certain matchups playing Protoss. So a lot of empathy for Protoss players out there. All right, next question. What's MonstR's favorite troll moment from in-games? Maybe it was that clip you had mentioned earlier.
I do think the moment with the Thor under the Widow Mines is better. I also had a clip where I put Widow Mines at the edge of like the backside of a main. So how would I explain? There was a map where the main mineral line basically was I don't know how to explain it, but like there's this huge gap, like dead space between the main and like a potential like 7th base, and I put Widow Mines there, and then I boost the medevacs in. The mutas flew after it, and I dragged them into the mines, and all the mutas blew up. That's a pretty good like stuff like that. I think anything involving Widow Mines, baiting people into Widow Mines, is my favorite moments in StarCraft. The Widow Mines is so funny. Also, like the whole army was all those warriors. MLG was also pretty funny. But like if I had to talk about my games, those usually like every hype moment I've ever had has like stemmed from random Widow Mine shots. And I think that's like a pretty common theme with Terrans. Like Widow Mines are like the bane of our existence. Like either they kill everything or they kill nothing. Or they kill all your stuff. So
okay. So yeah, Widow Mine for sure. I don't think you can think about modern day Terran without thinking about Widow Mine. And for folks talking about like a veteran gamer in chat talking about Huck versus Idra, MLG Dallas, Huck playing Protoss, Idra playing Zerg, and then Huck hallucinating a bunch of Phoenix and Idra thinking they're real. And it wasn't until I think after the game they had a bit of banter there. Okay, next question. What do you think about Cryptic Gaming?
So Cryptic Gaming is a NA-based team that I play for. As I said, when I worked night shift, I kind of because like I had to find someone I could play with during the night. So that's how that's how I met like everyone from Basement Dweller. Basically, I started out with everyone hanging out in Cryptic, and then when Cryptic became less friendly, I would say. They're still friendly, but like we kind of decided that we wanted to lead that. We created our own Discord, and that's how Basement Dwellers started. And it's like Basement Dwellers is, like a bunch of like ex-pro players from NA and me and some other EU people. But Cryptic Gaming is a great team, and I love the owner, Crumb. Like, he's a really good friend of mine. Very nice person. If you guys are looking for like a low-level team to join that like is active in the clan war scene, join Cryptic Gaming. They're like an amazing amount of people. Like, especially like if you want to take StarCraft serious. If you don't want to play StarCraft serious, I don't suggest joining Cryptic. But if you want to take StarCraft serious, Cryptic Gaming is good. Yeah.
Okay, so a team you used to play with based on like the working hours you might have had in the past, no longer really playing with them at all, but still have a pretty good vouch for this team.
Mm-hmm.
Next question, MonstR, what's your favorite cheese, dairy? And follow up, is it Munster?
I have no idea. I like Gouda, but cheddar is also good. I don't know about this question, man.
I think it just kind of Munster cheese and pertaining to the Monster ID. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh, I mean, like, if I have to have a favorite, probably that. Yeah.
MonstR, are there other games you enjoy?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Right now I'm playing a lot of Brew, which is something like I haven't played since my childhood, so it's like been ranked 1600, which is like C rank. It's not that good, but I've been enjoying it. Watching ASL whenever they upload episodes. Like you just learn from the pros how you're supposed to play the matchup. StarCraft Brewer is like super active right now. A lot of the pros from StarCraft 2, since GSL has been dumbing down, have actually gone to play Brood War instead, which is like, that's like really weird to see. But it's like super exciting to see. And like the StarCraft Brood War is such a beautiful game because like in StarCraft, the early game is basically pretty much set in stone. But in Brood War, there's so many, because of like how buggy the game is. Early game is so important, man. Like you can die to like random links because your Marines won't listen to what you're saying, and it's the same for everyone, and that's kind of exciting. Outside of StarCraft Brew War, I've also been like I've always played a lot of League. I played a lot of CS:GO. Every game that's popular, I played. I love the Resident Evil series. I'm doing a playthrough on Final Fantasy X right now. If you guys have ever played that game, a super good game. Recommend it if you guys want to play like an old turn-based RPG. So yeah, I mean, like I'm a gamer at heart. I've basically been a part of everything.
Yeah, a good variety of games there. Veteran gamer talking about. Let's go CS:GO. Asking your rank.
Should I answer that now or wait?
Oh, you can answer now. Yeah, what's your rank in CS:GO?
So my peak in CS:GO was when I was after high school. Me and friends were like play together. So I peaked Supreme Master First Class. But whenever I play now, I'm DMG or LE. So Supreme Master First Class is the second highest rank.
Okay, so what would be equivalent of like Master League in StarCraft?
Yeah, it would be like Master 1, basically.
Wow. So your skill set in gaming, it's not just in StarCraft, it's other competitive games like CS:GO.
Yeah, it's like I think I'm pretty talented when it comes to anything that I put my heart to, really. Like I'm pretty usually, I don't want to be like, bragging and stuff. I'm usually very good at everything I do. So but I think it's mostly because I never do anything like half-hearted. So like you see, like I've gained a lot of weight. That's because like I want to gain a lot of weight. So I do. No, I'm just kidding. But I don't do anything casual. So like when I wanted to lose, I crashed in weight. But now that I don't really care about weight, like it doesn't matter to me. It's like one of those things. I never do anything 10%. I always do something 100%.
It's good to hear putting your heart into everything you do. Okay, MonstR, how would you say NA and EU play styles different? I think this is a common answer most people would say, but go ahead.
So the reason why NA is hard is that people are so used to playing against each other. So there's a lot of metagame. Well, in EU, you never play the same guy twice in a row. So people are very good at playing different styles in NA. Like playing against a 1500, like a 5K player from NA is harder than playing a 5K player from EU. However, if you played a million games against a 5K player from NA, you're gonna win more games against that guy than the guy from EU, because the guy in EU does the same build every game all the time. So like he is very good at playing like the standard game, while the guy on NA is gonna fucking destroy you in like a random best of 3, best of 5.
NA confirm more difficult server. I heard it here.
It's like it's different. I think.
Yeah.
Like I feel like saying harder or like I think those are like it's kind of like saying that like being a stay-at-home like being a stay-at-home mother, but like raising children like as a stay-at-home mom is like easy. Like it's not easy, it's hard. It's like the way I would describe it is like it's simple. Okay, like it's like simple. It's like a simple thing to do. Like this very simple objectives in day-to-day life, but it's not easy. It's like very time-consuming and you need like a lot of patient dedication. You know.
Okay, so a bit of different play style. NA players might have a more variety of builds, but then EU players are just kind of grinding out similar builds per matchup and really getting crisp timings on it.
Mm-hmm.
Next question, MonstR. How do you manage the stress of the game and how do you relax?
Antidepressants, alcohol. No. So usually what I do is that when it comes to like grinding any game, you have to use like when you go through like a long grind or anything, you have to take it like you do it one at a time. You go through one game at a time. So you just play a game, mental reset, play a game, mental reset, play a game. You can't like look at it as like a chain of games because that's when it gets to you. If you look at like, let's say you're supposed to play 400 games this season, like you're going to go on like big grind. And every time you play a game, you're like, man, there's 399 games left. Oh my God, I can't believe there's 397 games left. It's better to just like, I'll play one game and then I'll play one game and then I'll play one game. And eventually you'll get there. And like just thinking of it like that is like a very easy way to just relieve the stress of the game. StarCraft is a very fast game. So what I don't do this, but what I've heard other people recommend is that after each game, just take a few seconds, stand up, walk around, do something like pick up some trash that you have like because like you throw your game and you throw everything. Pick it up, put it in the like in the bin. You know, do something that takes your mind off the game. Play some other relaxing game, like between games, maybe. You know, just like you have to make do what you got at home, I guess. But sometimes, you know, just doing something that takes your mind off StarCraft might be good.
Okay, so one game at a time. I think that's a really good piece of advice for a lot of amateur, even professional players out there. Okay, and one question here. Do you coach, MonstR?
I used to. I don't anymore. If you really want me to coach you, I could. I wouldn't recommend it. There are way better coaches. But like, if you like the kind of person I am and you really want my coaching, absolutely, I'll hook you up. Yeah.
Okay. So don't really coach too much anymore, but if there's a really big need out there, you might consider it. Last question here. MonstR, what's your favorite way to BM?
Mulehammer. You know, like you're not macroing too well, you like might as well just spend all your energy on something. You know, it's like, oh, good. Now I got to use them at least. I've seen people like type easy with like pylons in the middle of the map and stuff like that. Stuff like that can also be fun. But yeah, mostly is that Mulehammer is like the thing you think of like immediately. Like it just comes to mind, like, oh, drop mules. Because that's like what the Koreans do as well. You see it every time because like when you watch the old VODs of Pro League, they weren't allowed to talk in chat, but every chance they got to like do some kind of like BM move like that, they would take it. They would be like, oh, I beat this guy. It's Mulehammer, build Nexuses everywhere. Like they would do stuff like that. Just banter.
Yeah, I think of like building a Nexus at the front or a hatchery. If I had a choice, the one that feels, if you're the one that's doing it, the one that feels the best is the Mulehammer for sure. Or even like veteran gamer saying it's just like mass scan. You get what's like a sun or a scan halo.
The camp micro because you can't see what's going on under it.
Good times. All right, so that concludes the questions. Thank you, chat, for all of these questions. Really appreciate it. And now we're at the outro here of the podcast. We're going to wrap up the podcast here. This is your opportunity, MonstR, to plug your stream, your YouTube, any social media. I can provide a lot of the links that you had posted earlier, some of the clips in chat into the show notes, but the floor is yours.
Yeah, so I'd like to talk a little bit about something that so this is June who asked me to talk about this. So talking about past teams, I was part of a team called Love Your Girlfriend. Have you ever heard of PCH?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, so there was a lot of drama going on Love Your Girlfriend, and I was like in the center of all this. Like I knew everything that happened. And there was like a lot of drama towards the end where there was a lot of players that didn't get paid and stuff like that. And the guy that owned the team called Pascal Anton, he was from Frisha, which is in northern Netherlands. Like, I'm not really doxing him. Like, this is all on the internet. And he basically disappeared, saying he had a terminal illness. And like, I was really sad. He was a good friend of mine. I remember like I made like this huge thing in school where I talked about him, like how much he helped me. He made me get on Noob Launch, like all the other good teams I was on. He was the guy who got me in there. So like he was a great guy, but he like ended up being a scumbag, scam people of money. And he one day he just messaged me and he's like, "Hey, I'm not dead." And I was like, "What? I thought you had like a terminal heart disease, like you were gonna die." And he's like, "No, but like I found like this thing," and he like talked about like the e-meter, you know, like the Scientology thing, and like how like he used that to like he had some his electrolyte level was wrong or something like that, so he used that to like stabilize it, and then his heart infection went away immediately. And I was like, oh, okay. And then he talked to me about how he met this woman called Chelsea from America that he moved to and started dating. And basically she was like a huge fan of Gnosticism, which is like a religion. And she talked about something called the Library of the Nagamadi, which is like this old text that was like dug up in, I don't know, found somewhere in Egypt. And it like talk about like the truth behind the evils of humanity, which is like something called archons, which is an alien that possesses because humans aren't inherently evil. They believe this, like the people are inherently good, but archons possess people and make them do evil acts. So like every psychopath, everyone, they're like possessed by archons. So what they talk about is that like they would like show me pictures of like politicians, but like their eyes are going red and like stuff like that. And I was like sitting there, I was like 17, 18 years old, and I'm like, what is happening? Like, what did you just go crazy? Like, did you just like leave StarCraft and become insane? Like, is that what happened? And you met a girl that's like equally insane, like believes these things? And like, I was like, what the hell is going on? And the thing that's so crazy is that I talked to like every single player about the payments. I got into like a discussion with Montezuma because I actually believe that Bales, if you guys remember Bales, that he was he lied about what happened between him and Pascal, because Pascal had shown me things about like showed me like that he had sent payments stuff, ended up being fake. But so me and Monty had like a big like lash out between each other where like I defended Love Your Girlfriend and he like basically attacked them. And like the whole thing with H2O Mario happened where he didn't get paid, and that was absolutely true. He didn't get paid. But like I remember, like I messaged all the Koreans. I messaged Genius, Tassadar, Motoke, Dynamite, Stun, and I asked them like, "Did you get money?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, we all got paid." And I'm like, "Why is he only fucking the Europeans?" And then I realized that the Koreans would always show up to play the Clan Wars. Every single time, every tournament, they would always show up and play. The Europeans, though, they were like HMR had a family, Bales were not playing everything. So Pascal was like, "Fuck you guys, you're not like I'm just gonna lie and not pay you money because like, and I'm just gonna pay the money to Koreans because they always show up and do." So yeah, I mean like that's like a pretty cool like interesting fact about the world of LYGF.
Yeah, so I've heard of Love Your Girlfriend team. It was a team, right? Not like a clan.
Yeah,
and
it was a team. Yeah.
This is such a gem to the podcast. Maybe a lot of people in the scene are familiar with this story or like know exactly what you know, but I really appreciate you kind of disclosing this to the podcast and to the folks that are hanging out live right now, because this is it gets spicy, it gets weird. So there's let me get a kind of try to understand here. There's a team, Love Your Girlfriend, you're on it. A lot of players or some players not getting paid from a tournament. The owner of the team says, "I have a terminal illness," kind of ghosts for what period of time. We're talking like years here.
Yeah, he just closes down the team, just disappears. Nobody knows. Like the thing is, like he had a co-owner, nobody ever. But he keeps like running the team like small time. He just leaves. Like he just says like, "Hey, I have to close the team at terminal illness." He just disappears off the face of the earth, and people just think he died. Okay, and then like 2 years later, he just comes back. out of nowhere.
Comes back from the dead with some. I haven't looked into any of these topics here, but like what sounds like could be like conspiracy theory level type of topics. Maybe that, you know, some of the most people in the world, or even politicians might be like reptilians, or have like you know, like some redness in their eye. It might be just like the camera lens flare or something like that. Who knows? But
yeah,
what a stream. What a story.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, I wish I had the doc left, because I showed this to Juno, because he said, like, Pascal sent me like a 40-page PDF about like all the research he had done about the thing. Okay, and I was like, what the fuck? And like there was like showing like pictures of like markings on like planets and stuff like that, where like the aliens, the Archons, have left like the signature mark on like in the craters of planets, and I'm like, dude, like this is too wild. I don't understand this. And like, and it's like, you know, there's like the symbolism that conspiracy people are really into, where like they like look for things in media where like, oh, like this symbol that means that they're part of like some like CP circle or something like that. There was like that kind of thing going on. And I mean, like, to me it was like far-fetched, but he believed this. Like, he genuinely believed this. And I mean, like, it was like, it took a while for me to like accept that. Like, for a long time I was like, okay, he's just like, he's just trolling me, like he's trying to trick me. And then like I see him talking on forums about this, like his wife would like call me to tell me about it, and I'm like, this must be real. Like, he has to believe this. And yeah, it's like wild.
Interesting. So funny that the name is Archon, and that's a unit in game, like a pro.
Oh yeah,
it's a Protoss unit in game. It looks like this kind of ties to maybe like a particular religion. And Wikipedia here kind of says Archon. I might be pronouncing it wrong. Gnosticism.
Yeah, it's Gnosticism. Yeah.
Yeah. So Archons are in Gnosticism and religions closely related to it, the builders of the physical universe. I'll link this Wikipedia in chat if folks in chat want to kind of dive into this. So there we go.
Yeah, as I said, like I'm really sorry I don't have that PDF left, because like it's a fun read, okay? Because like the mental gymnastics that these guys have to go through is really impressive.
Yeah, it's just ultimately to not pay players and
yeah,
keep, presumably keep the money for themselves. So
yeah,
I hope we don't see that for pro players or semi-pro players in the future, where money's not being paid out. But if we do, maybe we'll come across like a wild story like this again, and it would be a good story, good and bad story to tell.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like in like when it was happening, it was not fun to be part of that, because like you got a lot of hate towards you just because you were a part of it. But now, like in hindsight, it's like a very good experience, and like it made me treat people with way more, like I am way more cautious about my friends and like who I decide to defend. You know, like I just defended Pascal because he seemed like a good guy to me. He was always nice to me, but like those people, just because they're always nice to you doesn't mean they're always nice to everybody else, right? What happens behind closed doors, you know, you never know. So you have to take everything with a grain of salt, and it's a pretty good life lesson. Yeah,
definitely a good life lesson. And if you do get that PDF or find it ever one day, like definitely share it. We can add it to the show notes at any time. So awesome.
Yeah, so I just plug my socials quick before we end this. So my Twitch is @MonstR, and my Twitter is @AkiandMe. And I don't think I have anything else I want to plug. Maybe Cryptic Gaming again. Great team. If you guys are looking for like our try hard lower league team, they're great. Compass Clannen, if you're Swedish and you're looking for like a gang to play with, they are great. If you're not Swedish and look for a gang to play with, look somewhere else. Yeah, that's it.
MonstR, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It was a really great episode. And yeah, thank you all for hanging out in the chat. If you didn't catch the entire podcast, like I always say, it's going to be on every major podcast platform once I get it up there, typically in a day or two. If you want to watch the video again, it'll be on my YouTube channel. Yeah, thank you everybody for participating in the chat. It really makes the podcast an even better experience for myself as a host and the guest as well. If you want to be on the podcast, I'm open to, really anybody that's, I'd say grassroots. is pretty appropriate, as the podcast title implies. So you just send me a message on Discord or on Twitch. And yeah, thank you all for hanging out. And that concludes this episode of the podcast. Thank you, MonstR.
Thank you for having me.